Just this month, domestic violence homicide cases have shaken the state of Maine. With October being Domestic Violence Awareness Month, Sierra Whaley spoke with a local organization about ways they bring support to the issue and the people impacted.
It really is an issue that's happening to all sorts of different folks in our community.
For over 50 years, Partners for Peace has supported community members in Penobscot and Piscataquis counties impacted by domestic violence.
Domestic abuse can take many forms.
Katie Shepard has been with Partners for Peace for the past 2.5 years, working in the education department.
Sometimes that's physical, which I think a lot of people think of first, but it might also be verbal or emotional abuse that really takes a toll on a person over time.
According to the 14th biennial report of the Maine Domestic Abuse Homicide Review Panel released in December 2023, domestic abuse homicides accounted for nearly 49% of Maine's total homicides during a 3-year period.
We know abuse is all about coercive control. So it's about one person trying to maintain control and limit the choices of another person.
Which is why they have a lineup of community events throughout the month.
Friday, October 18th, is going to be the annual March Against Domestic Violence at the University of Maine. That will start at 5 p.m. behind Fogler Library. We are also partnering with the Maine Coalition to End Domestic Violence and the VA to put on 2 free virtual movie screenings on October 22nd and October 23rd.
An opportunity to educate community members young and old and create a safe space to begin a tough conversation.
We really encourage folks to reach out to our helpline at 1-800-863-9909. There's so much value in helping someone achieve something that they want in order to get themselves safer.
Sierra Whaley, WABI TV 5 News, Bangor.